What's up, guys? Welcome to this week's 10-minute training video. I got here Josh, aka White, Noe, who likes to paint things blue, and myself, Ryan, the Midtown crew. So what we're going to get into today is something that is going to be ongoing. Whenever we get into these videos, there's three topics that we always hit on. This one's going to be about our philosophies. Something that we kind of started talking about in some of our meetings is that there's people that we follow and watch and pay special attention to that you guys may not know even who they are. One of those guys is Danny Meyer. He's a restaurateur out of New York, has some of the biggest and greatest restaurants in that city, which is the restaurant capital of the world. So he's a humongous deal. He here is going to talk about hospitality versus service. After the video, we're going to kind of do a quick interview session as to what that means here at Zocalo.
Absolutely. I think that the secret ingredient that we have figured out for our recipe for all these years is that you do, of course, need great service, but we've been able to separate the word service from the concept of hospitality as being two very, very distinct things. If somebody tells me that they got great service, it means that restaurant or that hotel or that airline or whatever the topic, they did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you can actually compete with companies who don't do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're also in a day and age when we all have lots of competitors who do what they're supposed to do. They know how to check you in on time. They know how to get your turn down service right. You can copy service pretty quickly. So what that leaves is something completely different from service, which is hospitality, which describes not those things which were done the right way, but those things which were done in a thoughtful way for you. Hospitality makes the recipient of service feel good. I think that service is a technical process. You can actually write service down as a manual, but service is a monologue. We decide how we want to do things, how things are supposed to be done. Hospitality is not a monologue like service, it's a dialogue. Because what hospitality means is that one size fits one. Hospitality is like a custom suit where we made it just for you.
What would you tell a hotelier? I mean, what are some of the things that, you must stay in hotels. How can we learn from that experience?
Well, I think that if your staff members can empathize with the guests by virtue of knowing how good it feels to take care of each other first, they're going to be much more excited about coming to work. Let's put it this way, in the old days you saw kitchens in restaurants where the chef would browbeat the waiters into taking better care of the guests. Somehow that doesn't really work.
Yeah, exactly.
You need a great product. The scary thing is that we're in a day and age where the shelf life of innovation is about 2 seconds. Every time you come up with a great idea in the hotel business, someone else is going to copy it. Every time we come up with a great idea, someone's going to take out their BlackBerry and email it to their chef and it'll be on their menu tomorrow. But what we really need, if we want to distinguish ourselves as the best, is amazing hospitality, which is the sense that you have that when we were delivering that product, we were on your side.
If you had to add a couple sentences to the Luxury Manifesto, what would they be?
I think that at the end of the day, how much time are they spending with you during that experience? And when they leave, are they going to say, that was a good use of my time? I think that the way that we make things a good use of people's time are really twofold. Understand that there are aspects of your job every day which are about delivering excellence. That's your job to know what those are. But there are even more aspects of your job that are about improvising with each guest and understanding that creating an experience where each guest really believes you're on their side, that you're doing things for them, that is ultimate luxury. And the ultimate luxury is that when the guest leaves, no matter how much money they spent, they say, that was a good use of my time.
Yeah.
All right, so the reason we have, and this is going to be pretty cool, because Noe, how long have you been managing for now?
7 years.
And Josh?
A little over 2.
A little over 2. So Josh beforehand, especially you guys out in the fountains, he was a server here for many years before. So it's going to be perfect. And the first question I'm going to ask is going to be for you, Josh. What, so he talks about hospitality. One of the best lines that I liked, he said, be on their side. And one of the quotes that Ernie's always talked about is, make a decision, make it favor the customer. What are things that you see now as a manager that you may not have seen a few years ago as a server?
I mean, the number one thing as a server, you're wanting to get your check up. You're wanting to make sure that you're, end up with making a good amount of money at the end of the day. So when managers come around and will, discount things and make the check lower, sometimes you can get defensive of that and think that that's something that, hey, that's going to affect my tip. But as a manager, in the long run, you realize that by taking care of that guest, you did something that, was unexpected. Maybe they ordered a dish, didn't care for it. You immediately took off the bill. The check average lowers, but they're going to come back because they know that anytime they can come in, they're going to order a dish, and regardless if they like it or not, they're going to get taken care of. They're either going to pay the bill because they enjoy the dish, or if they didn't like it, they know it can be taken back. As a server, you don't see that perspective of the guest returning, but hey, you may be the person that serves them next time they come in. They'll be like, hey, last time I came in, I got the salmon, didn't care for it, and you took care of me. I just wanted to say, what do you recommend this time, or something like that. And you end up with maybe a bigger tip because they're familiar with you.
Yeah, no, that's good. Noe, let me ask you this: there's kind of like a fine line when we say make a decision, make in favor of the customer, where you either think that you're being taken advantage of. The guest is kind of going into this too much, or at the same time, you do have to be a little firm and not give them the moon when you can't give it to them. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think the key is to not focus so much on how big or small the giving to the customer is. It's basically just following our own philosophy and staying firm to what we do as a restaurant or as a company, and not focusing on one individual customer or one individual item. If they ate a carnitas plate, half of it, and we're thinking how much it's going to cost us or how much it's going to cost for the server, we can't get caught up into that. We need to stay focused on what we do on a daily basis, following our own philosophies. It's a very difficult idea for employees to get because it sounds simple, but it really is not. What we're asking is to make a decision at that moment. So not wait for the manager to come by, not look for the manager, not wait a few minutes later. It's at that moment when you're encountering a special situation that you were not prepared for it, you have to make a decision and then make it in favor of the customer. That means not of the restaurant, not in favor of the manager, in favor of the customer.
And not in favor of yourself.
Exactly, not in favor of yourself. So what does that mean for us as a restaurant or as a company? It means that if we do it correctly, that could be a competitive advantage, because not all the restaurants are doing the same thing. And it's something that's very difficult for other restaurants to implement.
Why do you think that is hard for other restaurants to adapt?
Yeah, I was just thinking that a lot of restaurants, I think, struggle with that because they're always looking at the bottom line. And if you're always worrying about, profit and that kind of thing, you also got to balance that with your guest experience. So, when they leave, you want to have them leave feeling like they, got a value. And when you make a decision in favor of them, they're going to feel that they even got a better value. And on, the business side of it, you're always worried about, making sure that you get every last dollar out of the check, whereas we want to make sure that we're leaving the customer with a lasting impression and value.
Yeah, and just to kind of conclude on that, many restaurants aren't doing that. And that's why really guests are coming in and they're not expecting it because they're just not flat out used to it. So when we hit them up, especially coming from Zocalo, which is just a beautiful place in the first place, it really says a lot. Another thing I wanted to talk about in this video that Danny Meyer said, and something that we talk about here, is it being worth their time. We always say if they walk away and say that we're too expensive, that means that the experience wasn't worth it. What do you guys think about that?
I would say that it's just that people have a lot of options with their time and with their money. And when they come to Zocalo, they have to leave feeling like it was they picked the right restaurant to spend their time and their money.
Yeah, definitely. But really, I could see that happening. Someone walk out the door stretching and saying, you know what, that was worth my time, or that was a great experience. Or the opposite, they could come out and say, that just flat out wasn't worth it. I mean, they're too expensive. $15 for tacos. What are you talking about? We hear it all the time. The Taco Bell, whatever you want to say. That means not necessarily that the food. I always think that service has a humongous deal to do with our food. If you get bad service, you are scrutinizing everything else that's going on, and that's when we start talking about the experience. If you could save it with service or experience, you're not going to complain about price. You're just flat out not going to complain about price. And something that you guys should all should know is that management is graded not only, maybe on labor or these other costs that you guys think about, but they're actually graded on server tips, which you would think, why would a server who's at a table, why would the manager be graded on that? But we think this, the manager needs to make sure that everything that's going on in the restaurant, clean bathrooms, clean bar, clean floor, hostesses are smiling, kitchen's firing on cylinders, service is happening at the table. If all those things are happening, which are under the umbrella of the manager, the tip is going to be higher.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, and the managers, it's not just, as a server, you have a section. Managers, they're in charge of the whole restaurant. Every table that comes in is, technically a manager's table. We need to go by and make sure that we're, refilling waters, pulling plates. We have our VIP touches that we do. That's walking people to the bathroom. That's, clearing plates from the bar. Whatever the case may be. And that's just, making sure that the customer is taken care of.
I would say this goes back to enhancing the overall experience of the customer. And as managers, we have to protect the customer, and we have to make sure that they have the best experience. And like Danny Meyer said, we have to be on their side.
Absolutely, and I think the majority of you know about the VIP program. We have done a video on it, but really it comes down to what we're talking about right here. And I think a lot of you guys have seen it in your tip that when you get VIP'd, when your table as a server gets VIP'd, you're typically going to see a higher tip percentage. We on our end see better emails, better Yelp reviews, better overall comments. More money being spent just because people feel comfortable, they feel like they're in the right place, and that they spent not only their money, but their time well. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this week. Again, we'll be kind of going through a bunch of different speakers that we follow and feel that will definitely be worth your guys' time to hear to make you better in what you do.
Out.